everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Rachel from Evelyn and Peter, and today I have this crochet cardigan to share with you guys. So I'm going to stand up and give you a little bit of a better view. It has a pretty nice length to it here. You can easily adjust the length by adding or removing rows and multiples of 2. We have these cute and cozy comfy pockets on the front of the cardigan here. You can leave those out if you want, but I really think they make the design. They're just super cute, very easy to make, and have this nice little detail edging here on the way that we do our decreases. The sleeves are oversized and comfy and cozy, with just a little bit of shaping here at the cuff and some decreasing that we're going to be doing. So this pattern is free on my blog, enpcrochet.com, in sizes extra small through 5X, so I'll link to that in the description for you. Make sure you pull it up and follow along using that pattern with this video tutorial. I am making the size small in the tutorial, so obviously if you're making a different size, or even if you're making the size small, I always recommend following along so you can check your stitch counts, your row counts, everything like that. The yardage and all the information you need for this pattern is on my blog post as well, so please just go check that out if you have any questions. This is available as a kit with Lion Brand. The kit comes with a free copy of the PDF digital download of the pattern, plus you can customize your yarn color. It comes with all the yarn that you need. They have a lot of really pretty mandala colors available, so you can check that out. If you are not already subscribed to my newsletter, I recommend doing that. I will send out a newsletter letting you guys know whenever I have a new free pattern available, or whenever there is a really good sale on my kits or my patterns. I do not spam or give your email away, and to subscribe to my newsletter you just have to head to my blog, just pop in your email into the little pop-up, and then you'll be the first to know about any of my new free stuff, and I like to give coupon codes in there as well. This is also in my Etsy shop and in my Ravelry shop, and then of course this is the full video tutorial that you are currently watching. A little bit about the pattern: it's worked in separate panels from the bottom up, and then the sleeves are worked from the top down. Again, you can leave the pockets off if you want to. You can adjust the length really easily. It's very simple. I hope you guys like this design. It is one of my new favorites. I'm so excited for it. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to subscribe, and I will catch you in the next video tutorial. So for this design, you're going to need a lightweight yarn. I'm using Lion Brand's Mandala yarn. I recommend getting this one so you can have all of the pretty color changes like I do in this tutorial. They have lots of color options as well, so if you don't like this one, there's lots to choose from. And then all of the exact yardage is also available on my blog. You're going to need a 5mm crochet hook, a needle and scissors to weave in your ends, a couple of stitch markers, and then a measuring tape as well. So all of the panels for this sweater start off the exact same way. You're going to begin with the slip knot, insert your hook, and then pull through, and then pull tight to secure. And all of the panels will be starting the same. The only difference will be the stitch count that you start with. So every single size will have a different stitch count, and then the back panel versus the front panel will have a different stitch count, as well as the sleeves. I am showing you the sample using my front panel, but the pattern does start with the back panel. It doesn't matter which panel you start with, but if you like to go in order, you can go ahead and start with the back panel, and just make sure you check your stitch count. I'm going to chain 2, and then I'll be working a foundation single crochet here. So in that first chain that you made, insert your hook in the back bump, yarn over, pull up a loop, and then yarn over, pull through the first loop only, and then yarn over, pull through 2 loops, and that's 1 foundation single crochet. Again, on the bottom of that first stitch that you just made, insert your hook under both loops, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through the first loop only, yarn over, pull through 2. And you're just going to continue to do this. Insert your hook in the bottom of that previous stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 1, yarn over, pull through 2. If you're not familiar with foundation single crochet, I have a slower video of it on my channel that you can check out. And if you prefer with starting with just a chain instead, you can totally do that as well. You'll just add 1 more chain compared to the stitch count. So if you are Making the size small of the back panel, you would work 89 foundation single crochet. If you're chaining, you would just chain 90, work 1 single crochet in the second chain from the hook and across for the same stitch count. You can do the same thing on the front panels and the sleeves as well, just add in 1 more chain. So the first row of my front panel here is complete. I have 33 foundation single crochet. Again, this will be different depending which panel you're making and which size you're making. So just make sure you're following along with that. Then we're going to chain 3, and this chain 3 does count as a stitch throughout the pattern. And then yarn over, and in that very first stitch, insert your hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. You're just working a double crochet into that stitch, and then work a second double crochet into it, and then work a third double crochet into it as well. So we have a chain 3 and then 3 double crochet all into the same spot, which is that very first stitch of the row. And then we are going to be skipping 3 stitches, so count out 3 of the next stitches, and we're going to be skipping over them. And then in the following stitch, you're just going to insert your hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, and yarn over, pull through 2, working a single crochet. And then we're going to chain 3. And then in that same spot as your single crochet, you're going to be working 3 double crochet stitches. So yarn over, insert your hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. Do that a total of 3 times. And then that is what we're going to be repeating all the way across the row. So again, you just skip 3 stitches, single crochet into the next stitch, chain 3, and then work 3 double crochet all into that same stitch, that same spot where you worked the single crochet. So you can go ahead and just repeat across the row, and then I will meet you at the end to show you how to finish it. When you're counting the stitches, you count the 3 double crochets and the single crochets. Don't count the chain 3s that are within the row, only the chain 3 on the end counts as a stitch towards your stitch count. Okay, so now we're coming up to the end of the row here. We have 4 stitches remaining. You're just going to skip 3 and then work a single crochet in that final stitch to finish off. So this is what your piece will be looking like. This is the same for all of the panels and all of the sizes, only the stitch count will be different. And then to count your stitches, this can be a little bit weird just the way the stitch is. It can be kind of confusing for a beginner. But your stitch count will stay the same. Your single crochets count, and then each of the double crochets also count as a stitch. But this chain 3 that you make, don't count any of those chains as a stitch, but you do count the single crochet below it. So you'll count the single crochet on the end, the 3 double crochets, the single crochets in between, and then don't forget that our starting chain 3 from the beginning of the row does count as a stitch. So make sure that you count that one towards your stitch count, but the ones inside the row don't count. Okay, so now you can turn your work, and we're going to begin row 3. For that, we're going to chain 4. The chain 4 does count as a double crochet and a chain 1 space. So make sure that you are aware of that when you come back to it at the end of the next row. So now we're going to be working our special stitch. It's kind of a combination of a bobble and a cluster. You're going to yarn over, insert your hook into the first double crochet, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through the first 2 loops, and then in the next stitch, yarn over, insert your hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through the first 2 loops, and then in that same stitch, the center of those 3 double crochet, yarn over, insert your hook into that same spot, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2. You have 4 loops on your hook. And then we're going to do the same thing in that last double crochet. You're going to yarn over, insert your hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2. So we did it 1 time in that first double crochet, twice in the middle, and then once in the last double crochet for a total of 5 loops. Then you're just going to yarn over, pull through all 5, and then chain 1, And then in that chain space that we have here, we're going to be working a single crochet into it. So insert your hook into the actual chain space, and then just yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2. And then you'll be doing another chain. So it's our special stitch, a chain 1, a single crochet, and then a chain 1. Then we're going to repeat that across the row. Again, yarn over, insert your hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2. And that next stitch, and yarn over, insert your hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2. Repeat that same thing into the same stitch, the center of the 3, and repeat it. And then yarn over, insert your hook into the last double crochet, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, and then go ahead and yarn over, pull through all 5. And then again, you'll be doing the chain 1, the single crochet into the chain space below, and then finish with another chain 1. Go ahead and just repeat the same thing all the way across the row, and then I will meet you at the end of the row to show you how to complete it. Okay, so I'm coming up to the end of the row here. I've already done my single crochet and then my chain 1, and then we're going to finish with one more special stitch. We have 4 stitches remaining here, so just work the special stitch as normal. And then we have 1 stitch remaining, which is the top of the chain 3. Don't forget that the chain 3 counts as a stitch. So work your special stitch. Don't forget to chain 1 afterwards. And then into the top of that chain 3, just work a single crochet to finish off the row. Okay, so now we are going to be working row 4. In your previous row, the stitch count stayed the same, so you can count your stitches across and make sure that your stitch count is still the same. And for row 4, it's pretty much the same thing as row 2. It's just going to look slightly different because we're working our stitches now into the row 3 instead of the foundation row. So I just wanted to show you how to do that and how to finish this row really quick. So to start off, it's going to be the same thing with a chain 3, and that does count as a double crochet. And then go ahead and that very same stitch, work 3 double crochet stitches into it. Now we're going to skip over the next 3 stitches, and then you're going to work your single crochet stitch into the single crochet from the row below. So it's really easy to locate. Just going to be working your single crochet into that stitch, and then do the same thing as you did in row 2, chain 3. And then these chain 3s don't go towards your stitch count. And then work 3 double crochet into that same spot as the single crochet, and then just repeat that all the way across. So skip 3, and then in the single crochet from the previous row, work a single crochet, chain 3, 3 double crochet. Go ahead and repeat that across, and then I will meet you at the end of the row to show you how to finish it off. Okay, so now we're coming up to the end of the row here. I have 4 stitches remaining. Don't forget that this starting chain 4 counted as a double crochet stitch plus a chain 1. So that's 2 stitches there, and then the top of your special stitch plus the other chain 1 for 4 stitches. So you're going to just be working a single crochet into the 3rd chain of that chain 4. So not into the top of the chain 4 because that is our chain 1 space, but in that 3rd stitch you're going to finish the row by working a single crochet into it. So that completes row 4. Our stitch count is still the same. It'll remain the same throughout the panel. And now for the remainder of the panel, you're just going to be repeating rows 3 and 4 over and over until you have the correct amount of rows for your size. So make sure you're following along with the written pattern. The amount of rows you need will be different for each size, so just make sure you are aware of that. And all you do is just repeat these last 2 rows that I showed you. So go ahead and do that, and then I will meet you back here to continue the pattern. You'll need to make 2 front panels. They will be exactly the same, and then you need to make your back panel as well. It'll be exactly the same as the front, except it will be wider. It will have more stitches. So you'll need to do all 3 of those panels before we move on. So here is what you should have. I have my back panel here and my 2 front panels, and now we need to go ahead and make the sleeves as well. They're very similar to the back and the front panels. We will be doing just a tiny bit of shaping at the cuffs. So once you have your 3 main panels complete here, we're going to go ahead and do the sleeves. So the sleeve is made top down, so it's actually going to start the same exact way as your back and your 2 front panels. Obviously, once again, the only difference is going to be your stitch count. So if you need to, you can go back and rewatch the video on how to do the rows, but I'm sure you have it down by now. Pull up the written pattern and check and see how many stitches you need for your sleeve. It'll be different for each size. So locate that in the written pattern, check your stitch count. That's what you will be doing for row 1 of the sleeve. And then just do the same thing, work row 2, 3, and 4, and then repeat rows 3 and 4 over and over until you have the correct amount of rows for your sleeve before we begin the cuff area. So this is my sleeve here. I've worked all the rows that I need for the size small, and now we're going to be adding in just a few more rows to finish off the cuff and kind of give it a little bit of shaping at the end of the panel here. So go back and work up all of your sleeve until you reach the cuff section, and then come back here and I'll show you how to complete the cuff. Okay, so for this next row here to start the cuff, it's very simple. You're just going to chain 1 and then work 1 single crochet into each of the stitches all the way across. So I'm going to show you how to do that. The chain ones count as a stitch, so when you're working your single crochets, you are going to be working a single crochet into those chain ones as well. Okay, so start off the row by chaining 1, and then that very first stitch work a single crochet, and then into the next stitch you're going to work a single crochet, and then you're just going to work them into each stitch across. You can see for the chain ones here, I'm working it into the actual chains and not into the space. And then you just do that all the way across the row. So your stitch count here will be the same as what your starting count was, and your stitch count for all of the rows here, it's going to be the exact same. So you can easily check your stitch count by counting the single crochets after you work your way across. I'll show you how to finish off the row here at the end to make sure you don't miss any of those stitches. When you come up to the end here, you have that chain 4, so don't forget to work a single crochet into the chain 1. So that's the top of the chain 4, and then into the top of the double crochet, which is the 3rd chain of that chain 4. So that can be a little tricky if you're not remembering. So just make sure you get those last 2 single crochet in. And then that completes the first row of the cuff. You can go ahead and chain 1 and turn your work. And now for this row, we're just going to be decreasing all the way across. So we're going to be working single crochet 2 togethers. So insert your hook into the first stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, insert your hook into the next stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through all 3. So we just decreased 2 stitches into 1. And then do the same thing, insert your hook into the next stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, insert into the following, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through all 3. Then I'm doing it here again, and we're going to do it all the way across the row. So single crochet 2 together and just repeat all the way across. Depending on what size you're making, you might have one that ends with an extra single crochet. And so you'll just have to finish off that row by working a single crochet into the last stitch instead of decreasing. So you can see I've single crocheted 2 all the way across, and then I have 1 stitch remaining because I had an odd stitch count. And then I just finished with a normal single crochet into that. So if you have an extra stitch, don't worry, that's normal, just depending on which size that you made and what the original stitch count was. So after you do that, your stitch count will obviously have changed, and for the next row, you're just going to single crochet all the way across. So chain 1, turn your work, and then work 1 single crochet into the top of each of the single crochet stitches to the end. Your stitch count stays the same. You should notice your cuff pulling in the stitches a bit and making it tighter. And then for the final row of the cuff, you're going to chain 2 and turn your work. In the very first stitch, yarn over, insert your hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through all 3, and we are just working half double crochet stitches into each stitch all the way across. So that will finish off our cuff row. You can just go ahead and do that all the way across to the end, working 1 half double crochet in each stitch. Okay, so once you get to the end, you can go ahead and fasten off. I recommend leaving a tail long enough to seam the side of the sleeve together when we're sewing it later. So you can leave your tail long enough to do that sewing. You can see the cuff here has given us some shape at the bottom of the sleeve. And then you have to repeat the same thing a second time for a second sleeve. So go ahead and do that. And then again, when you fasten off, just leave a tail long enough to sew that sleeve shut later on. So now we have to make the pockets. The pockets are different. There's a left pocket and a right pocket because we have to decrease on the opposite side of each one so that they match up with both the right and the left front panel. So here is my left pocket, the side that my left hand goes into when it's all sewn together. And I'm going to show you how to do both of them. So they start off the exact same way as the rest of your panels, and it's actually the same stitch count as your front panel. So you're kind of just going to start off again the same as you did on your front panel. You're just going to have less rows. So make sure you check your size so you know how many rows you need to make before we start doing the decreasing. I am starting the decreasing for this one in row 8. So rows 1 through 7 are the exact same for the pockets as you did the front panel, and then they're the same for both the left and the right panel as well. So once you have the correct amount of rows and we have to begin decreasing, this is how we're going to do it. I'm going to show you how to do the left pocket first. It's the one that's already complete here. And I'm just going to show you how to do it on this pocket that I'm currently making, and then I'll pull it out and show you how to do the right pocket as well. So for this pocket, we're just going to be slip stitching over to start row 8, and that will help us give the shaping here. So for row 8, you're going to slip stitch into the first stitch and then slip stitch into the next. This is into the chain 1. So just insert your hook, yarn over, pull through the loop on your hook, and then insert into the top of the next stitch and work a slip stitch, and then insert into the chain 1 and work a slip stitch. So you have a total of 4 slip stitches here. And then into the next stitch, which is the single crochet from the row below, you're just going to be working a single crochet stitch. So now that we've slip stitched over 4 times, we're going right back into the regular pattern repeat. So single crochet into it just like you normally would, and then chain 3 just like you normally would, and then work 3 double crochet into it just like you normally would. So that's it for the decreasing on this one. Just slip stitch over 4 and then go right back into the regular row repeat and do it all the way across the row just like you normally would. And then the next row is actually also going to be the same. It's going to be just like any other of the row repeats that we had with the special stitches. The only difference is we're going to be stopping right here where we started, and obviously you just leave the slip stitches unworked. So I've worked my way back, doing my regular row repeat like we have been, and we're up to the end of the row here. I'm working my final special stitch. So working the double crochet cluster and then chain 1, and then we have our starting chain 3 here, and I'm just going to work a single crochet into the top of it. And then you just leave those slip stitches unworked. You don't do anything down below. And then now you just repeat those same 2 rows. So it's really, really easy. You're just repeating these 2 rows now throughout the rest of the pocket, and it'll just decrease by 4 stitches every 2 rows until you have the correct amount of stitches remaining before you can fasten off. So this was for the left pocket. And then just do the same thing that I showed you. Repeat these 2 rows, slip stitch over 4, and then you just go right back into the regular row repeat. And then same for the next stitch, just your regular row repeat across, and just repeat these 2 rows until you have the correct amount of rows for your size. Okay, so that was the left pocket, and I've pulled it out. Now I'm going to show you how to do the right pocket. So do the same thing, work up your 7 rows, just like you would the front panel and the previous pocket. And now we're on our 8th row here. So this is the difference. Instead of decreasing at the start of the row, we're going to decrease at the end of the row. That way our pocket openings are on the correct side of the panel. So just do your normal stitch repeat as you normally would have. So chain 3, 3 double crochet, skip 3, do the same thing all the way across. And then you're just going to work that across until we come up to the end of the row here. And you will be finishing this row with your final single crochet, and then you have 4 stitches remaining there, and you're just going to leave those 4 stitches left unworked. So you finished with your single crochet, leave the 4 unworked, go ahead and turn your work and chain 4. And now this row is just going to be like any other row, chain 4, and then work your special stitch into the next 3 double crochet, chain 1, single crochet, chain 1, and just repeat across like you normally would. So this is just like any other row here for row 9. And then for the rest of the pocket, you're just going to be repeating these 2 rows, rows 8 and 9 for my size. So these 2 rows that I just showed you is what you'll be repeating for the rest of the pocket, just like you did in the first pocket that we made, except our decreases are at the end of the row instead of the start of the row. So when you work your way across in the next row here, again, you'll do the same thing, and you'll finish with your single crochet right here, and then you'll leave the 4 remaining stitches left unworked, and then turn, work your normal row across, and then just keep repeating for the remainder of the pocket. It'll look just like your first pocket except opposite. Okay, and then after you've completed your final row, you can just go ahead and fasten off, and then just leave a tail long enough to sew this last row to the front panel of your cardigan. And then you're actually going to be crocheting on the 2 long sides, so down the length here and here, we're actually going to be crocheting it on to the panel, so don't worry about leaving a tail long enough to seam that. Just for the top, and then you'll also have to seam the short side on the bottom as well. So you should have both of your pocket panels complete. They should be identical except just opposite decreases. And then now we can begin seaming all of our panels together. Okay, so go ahead and take your back panel and your front panels and place them right sides facing. It's very obvious for this design what the right side is. It's where your special stitches poke out. That is the right side of the cardigan. That's what you want people to see. So you're just going to place it together, and then using the tail of yarn that you left on the top of your front panel, we're just going to join those at the shoulder. So you can use whatever method you prefer for seaming and joining your pieces. It really does not matter. I'm just using my needle here, and I'm going to sew atop using the mattress stitch. You can do whatever stitch method you prefer. You can use your hook and slip stitch across. You can do whatever you like. It does not matter. So just go ahead and do that with the first front panel here, and make sure you're not skipping any stitches and that they're lined up nicely. But other than that, just go ahead and seam how you prefer. And then do the same thing on the other side as well. Work that front panel on to your back panel. Once you have your back and front panels together, we have to join in our sleeves. So this seam here is the shoulder sleeve that we just joined. And you're going to take your sleeve panel and line it up so that it's even with that shoulder seam. You'll want to find the center stitch of your sleeve panel and just place your stitch marker there to make sure it's centered. And then you can place a stitch marker at the end, and then same with at the beginning here. It's easy to count your rows along the sides of the back and front panel and just make sure you're starting and ending on the same row so that your sleeve is nice and even. I went ahead and used my needle and joined together, but I was silly and I did not leave a tail long enough to seam the sleeve to the panel. I will make sure I put that in the written pattern to do so. But if not, you can just bring in a new piece of yarn and sew that sleeve to your panel and then do it on the other side as well. So then once you have your cardigan sleeve joined on up at the shoulder area, you need to do the same thing from the cuff all the way up to the underarm, and then the underarm all the way down the side to the bottom hem of your cardigan. So just like in a little L shape. I used my extra yarn that I left at the end of my sleeve at the cuff and just joined it on, and then repeat the same thing on the other side so that everything is sewn together. And now we're going to be putting in our pocket panels. So your cardigan should be sewn together, and now we're going to add in our panels by single crocheting it on to the cardigan so that we can eliminate some of that sewing. So just place your pocket panel with the wrong side down and the right side facing out. And we're going to be joining into the bottom corner of our cardigan with a new piece of yarn and working our trim around the cardigan. Okay, so I've just inserted my hook into the bottom corner of the pocket and then the bottom corner of the right front panel here. And then we're just going to slip stitch to join. So yarn over and pull through the loop on your hook. Go ahead and chain one. And now we're just going to be working single crochet stitches. We're just working them through the pocket panel and the front panel. You'll want to make sure that the panels are lined up correctly. So if you need to, you can use stitch markers to keep it in place. And then you're not working into an actual stitch here, you're just working into the ends of the rows. So I just found it easiest to just work around those chain 3s and chain 4s, and then just evenly spread the single crochet stitches. It doesn't matter what your stitch count is here. You can place your hook wherever it is most comfortable and looks the best for you. You'll just want to make sure that as you're going, you're not placing too many single crochet stitches together. That will cause the trim of your cardigan to be wavy. And then you also don't want them too far spread out, because then it will kind of just tug at your panels. So just try and do it as even as possible, working your way up the side of the front panel. Once you have the side of the pocket sewn on, you'll just continue doing the same thing that you're doing here, working the single crochet stitches, but then it'll only be through the front panel. So you're going to work your way all the way up, and then you're going to work your way across the back neckline. You can just do one single crochet into each stitch across the back neckline area, and then do the same thing, work your way down, making single crochet stitches evenly on the second front panel. And then when you get to the spot where your next pocket needs to be brought in, you need to do that as well. And then we'll bring it in and we'll sew that second pocket to the second front panel. So go ahead and work your way around, and I will meet you in the second pocket area. Okay, so now we are on the other side on the second front panel. Here's my other pocket. I'm just going to place it in, doing the same thing previously. And now I'm just going to join it in with the single crochet stitches. And now I'm at the bottom corner, and we're going to work our way across the bottom now, joining in the bottom of the pocket all the way across the back panel, and then joining in the bottom of the second pocket as well, all the way until we get where we joined in our yarn. So same thing here, just work your single crochet stitches. At this point, you'll want to add in a couple stitches here in the corner just to help you turn into the bottom. So I've done 2 stitches in the corner, and then now I'm going to be working my single crochet through the bottom of each stitch of the pocket panel. So from here on out, you'll have a spot to actually put your hook, so it's easy to locate. You'll just be working them in the bottom of the stitches from the pockets and the front and back panels. So go ahead and just work your way all the way across until you get back to where you joined in. And then once you get back to the beginning here, we're just going to slip stitch to join. I've worked my last single crochet into the same spot that I joined in just to help with that turn there. And then I'm slip stitching into join. Now I'm going to chain 2. I'm not going to turn my work. We're just going to keep going. And in that same spot that I joined in, I'm going to work a half double crochet, but I'm doing it through the back loop only. So the back loop is the one that's furthest away from you. So instead of doing it through both the front and back, we're just going to do it in the back loop only here and work a half double crochet into each stitch. Now we're only going to be working our way up the front panel, along the back neckline, and then down the second front panel, and we're just going to end at the bottom corner here. You're not going to go all the way across the bottom this time. So you can just go ahead and fasten off once you reach the corner of that next panel. Now you just need to sew the remaining parts of the pocket, which is just these 2 short lengths on the top and the side. You just use your needle and then sew it in. You can use whatever sewing method you like. I just did it the same way that I joined my panels, and I sewed it together on both sides. And then after that, you just need to weave in any remaining ends. And that is it for this design. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will catch you in the next video tutorial.